You hear it all the time, right? Eat this superfood and you'll get smarter. But how much of that is real science and how much is just really clever marketing? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig in and separate the actual facts from the fiction when it comes to eating for a healthier brain.
So let's just jump right in with the big question. Can you actually, really eat your way to a sharper, smarter mind? It's a super tempting idea. So let's see what the science actually has to say about it. To even start to understand how food impacts our brain, you first have to appreciate just how hungry it is. Your brain is only about 2% of your body weight, but get this, it devours a whopping 20% of all the energy and nutrients you take in every single day. It's always on, which means the fuel we give it is absolutely crucial.
And because our brains need so much fuel, we're constantly hearing about this one little word, superfood. You see it everywhere, right? In the grocery store, all over the internet. It's presented as the ultimate answer. But what does that word even mean?
Well, here's the thing, and it might surprise you. Superfood isn't a scientific term, not at all. It's a marketing term. There are no official rules, no regulations that define what it is. It's just a label that's designed to make a product sound amazing to get you to buy it. And look, don't just take my word for it. Major health organizations are on the same page. Cancer Research UK puts it bluntly. The term is basically a marketing tool with very little science behind it. That right there is a huge red flag to look past the hype. In fact, the skepticism got so big that regulators actually stepped in. Back in 2007, the European Union straight up banned companies from using the word superfood on their packaging unless the health claim was backed up by some serious, credible scientific research. That was a big move to stop misleading marketing. Okay, so if the superfood label itself is mostly just marketing fluff, does that mean it doesn't matter what we eat for our brain health? No way! It just means we need to look past the label. There are definitely foods that genuinely support our brains, and now we're going to get into what those actually are. So to figure out which foods are best, it helps to know what our brain is even made of. And here's a wild fact for you. About 60% of the human brain is fat. Yeah, fat. And that immediately tells you that the type of fat we eat is going to be incredibly important for building and maintaining our brain cells.
And it turns out certain foods have these unique compounds that our brains just love. Fatty fish, for instance, give us those critical omega-3s. Berries are packed with antioxidants called flavonoids. Leafy greens have vitamins like K and folate. Each of these plays a really important and unique role.
Let's zero in on fatty fish for a second, things like salmon or sardines. They are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, especially one called DHA. Now, you can think of DHA as the literal building blocks for your brain and nerve cells. These healthy fats also fight off inflammation, which helps protect the brain and keep your memory sharp. And the evidence for berries is just as incredible. There was this huge study from Harvard that found that the compounds that give berries their beautiful colors, flavonoids, act like powerful bodyguards for the brain. And get this, eating them regularly was linked to delaying memory decline by as much as 2.5 years. That is a huge, real-world benefit.
And the list just keeps going. Leafy greens like kale and spinach have nutrients that studies suggest can help slow down cognitive decline. Walnuts have a plant-based omega-3 that's great for blood pressure, which helps both your heart and your brain. And yep, even a little dark chocolate, we're talking the high cocoa stuff, has flavonoids that can boost blood flow to the brain, which helps with focus. But here's a really key idea. Focusing on just one of these foods is kind of missing the point. The real secret, what the science is pointing to now, isn't about one magic ingredient. It's about the bigger picture, your overall eating pattern.
And that brings us to two specific ways of eating that have been studied a ton for their brain benefits. The famous Mediterranean diet and another one called the Mind diet, which was actually designed specifically to help protect the brain as we age. When you look at what these diets are all about, it's going to look pretty familiar. They both focus on all the foods we've been talking about. Lots of plants, healthy fats from things like olive oil and fish. And at the same time, they recommend limiting foods that can cause inflammation, like red meat or sugary processed foods. See, it's about the whole approach, not just one superfood. And this isn't just a hunch. It's backed by some serious research. A huge review by the USDA found what they called moderate evidence that these dietary patterns are linked to a lower risk of cognitive decline. Now, moderate evidence might not sound like a slam dunk, but in the world of nutrition science, that's a really strong signal that there's a real connection here. So we've torn down the superfood myth, and we've looked at the real science. So now, let's get to the most important part. How can you actually use this information in your own life?
Putting this all into practice is actually way easier and tastier than you might think. I mean, look at this sample day. You've got eggs and berries for breakfast, a big salad for lunch, some nuts for a snack, and then delicious baked salmon for dinner. It's not about being super strict, it's just about weaving more of these brain-healthy foods into your meals every day.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Can I just take a supplement for all this? And experts are really clear on this one. While a supplement can help if you have a specific deficiency, it's no replacement for a good diet. The incredible mix of nutrients you get from whole foods just can't be bottled. Food is always the best source.
And you know, this all leads us to the biggest takeaway of all. There's no separate, secret brain diet. The very same foods and eating habits that protect your brain are the exact same ones that protect your heart and your entire body. It's all connected. A healthy body and a healthy brain really do go hand in hand.
So, at the end of the day, every meal is an opportunity. It's not about being perfect, it's about making small, conscious choices that are going to nourish your brain for years to come. So the final question is really for you to think about. Your next meal is a choice for your future mind. So what are you going to choose? Thanks for watching.
So, superfoods for brain health. We hear about them all the time. But what's the real story here?
You know the promise, right? Eat certain foods, and boom, your memory gets a major boost.
And who doesn't want that laser-like focus? It's a pretty tempting idea for sure.
But can a few special foods really do all that? Let's dig in and see.
Okay, so you've got fatty fish, like salmon. They're packed with those brain-building omega-3s.
Then there are blueberries, loaded with antioxidants that are supposed to help protect our brains.
And walnuts. You've probably heard they're linked to better scores on cognitive tests.
All right, these all sound great. But what actually makes a food a superfood anyway?
Well, here's the thing. Turns out it's really more of a marketing term, not a scientific one.
And it's not just us saying that. Major research groups are pretty clear. It's basically marketing.
The EU even banned using the term on packaging unless there's some serious scientific proof.
So, what are the experts telling us? That no single food is some kind of magic bullet. If it's not about one single food, then what is it? Well, science points to our overall dietary patterns.
Two of the most studied are the Mediterranean and Mind diets. Let's see what they're all about.
You can see they have a lot in common. It's all about plants, fish, and healthy fats. So why do these diets work? Well, it starts with powerful stuff like omega-3s. These fats are the literal building blocks for our brain and nerve cells. Super important stuff.
And another key ingredient in this whole recipe, something called flavonoids.
Think of these as your brain's personal security. They fight damage and help with blood flow.
But, you know, it's not just about what you eat. There's another piece to this puzzle.
So what's this? It's how much your reaction time can drop if you're even a little dehydrated.
It just shows how important the whole lifestyle is. Diet, exercise, and yep, even getting enough sleep.
So let's wrap this up. It's not about one magic food, but about building a great overall pattern.
Because those small, consistent choices really do add up. So we'll leave you with this to think about.